You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We have a special guest in the building.
Wait, Charlamagne's in the bathroom?
Yeah, he's coming.
Okay.
Stratis Morfogen. Is that?
You got it perfect.
Really?
That never happens.
Never happens.
Well,
All right.
Stratis is here. He is, well, tell him all the businesses that you own as far as restaurants are concerned.
Well, I mean, most people know me because I founded and created Philippe Chow in 2005.
What's the difference between Philippe Chow's and Mr. Chow's? Is there a difference?
Well, the chef was there for 25 years.
Uh-huh.
He started from an apprentice all the way to when I met him. He was the chef for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. So we became friends. And, I introduced him to the American dream. Instead of working for someone, I made him a partner.
Right. Wow. So that's when you guys opened Philippe's.
Yeah, in 2005.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
When we were on 60th Street, it was a ghost town. It was just another diner and myself. Now it's Restaurant Row.
Randomly, I remember when Philippe's first opened, I went on a first date with somebody there. They took me there to impress me because you would go into Philippe's and then they would actually make the
noodles?
The noodles in front of you.
Yeah.
And that was the main thing, and I was
that's
very
an art.
impressed.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful art, actually.
I was young and very impressed.
So it worked?
Wow, this is really fancy.
So it's a good thing then? I was a part of a good thing?
So it took a while for Philippe's to take off?
No, actually, it was a smash from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And, we got such great support from the music industry, sports. We started being featured in songs, and, it was wonderful.
How did that happen so quickly? Because the restaurant business is such a tough business.
Well, I had nightclubs before, so I did have a little following. And, I'm grateful for, as soon as I opened, people came check it out. It was curiosity. Mm-hmm. And, I just, I was overwhelmed. It was amazing.
It was great food and great service. I remember I used to pull up. They used to watch the cars outside and make sure we didn't get tickets. Yeah. It was just great service. I always enjoyed it. And I even tell a story all the time when me and my wife were going through problems. They gave me the room downstairs.
Good.
The private room where Tyrese came down there and sang to me and my wife privately.
Oh, that's nice.
So it was always there. So why did you leave Philippe Chow's? What happened with Philippe Chow's?
Well, I'll tell you. Around 2013, my original partners. I was on my own, and I had a bookkeeper partner and another, investor basically, and we were a great team. And those guys got a lot of money to be bought out, and one of the conditions was for me to stay on because I was like, hey, if you guys want to throw that kind of money around, take me out too. So these Wall Street guys came in basically, I'm not mentioning names, but they came in basically and they thought they can do a better job. And I didn't like the culture. I didn't like the new culture because exactly what you said. I come from a Greek hospitality background, where my, dad and mom would bend over backwards at their Greek diners. And I grew up with that kind of feel. And I treated my customers the same way. I would have my guys do whatever. Watch your car, even more. We would bring umbrellas to the taxis.
Right.
This is before Uber.
Right.
And I believe in that because, I think that's what makes you great because customers have to walk through 100 doors to get to ours.
Right.
And we got to make them feel like that any way we can. Mm-hmm. An umbrella is great.
So what ended up happening with the new investors?
Well, what happened was they basically brought a different culture into the restaurant, and I wanted no part of it.
So what was that like?
Well, when everybody walked into my restaurant, I treated them like they were gold. They were, I didn't care wealth. I didn't care how rich they were. I didn't care what color they were. I didn't care anything. I treated people with respect because I love my customer.
Right.
Totally, basically, when a customer came in, we would do anything for them. Seat them anywhere, whatever it was. They're customers.
Right.
We never prejudged anyone. And I'm not saying that they were prejudging the new regime that came in, but it wasn't the culture that I created and I wanted out.
Were they bougie? Were they discriminatory? Were they racist?
Was it like if we're black and we come in with our sweats on?
It was very corporate. And, I know Movado, for example, exposed it for a little while. So you can Google that without going too deep into that. But it was that kind of
reggae artist Movado?
Yeah, he did a whole big thing. It was all over TMZ at the time. And I just didn't want to be a part of it because that's not me. I've always been cool with everybody.
I just read an article recently about a patron at a couple at a restaurant. It was a black couple. They were seated, and then one of the regular customers came in and wanted that table, and then they actually asked the two to leave their seat and move.
Awful.
And the customers said, no, actually, we prefer to just sit here. And then the manager got very loud and belligerent and actually ended up calling the police. And they hadn't done anything wrong.
It's disgusting. I'm not, like I said, I grew up, my dad's last business was in Flushing, Queens. We had everybody. all race, all. I mean, you had such a diverse crowd.
Now, why the attraction to Asian food?
Well, I was a big fan of Philippe Chow's cooking at Mr. Chow. I just, the guest experience, like I said, from the Greek diner background, I believe that the customer is God. I believe the customer is everything. And I didn't feel that when I got there. And basically, I gave my card to the busboy and I said, give this to the chef, because I got a little angry with a couple of things. We were being treated a little, whatever. And the next day, Philippe Chow called me and we made a deal. And then we opened up Philippe Chow in 2005, and the rest was history.
So now you were being sued for a little bit, weren't you?
Yeah, no. So, it's funny. I didn't recreate anything. I took a chef that gave 25 years of his service, and I took him out of there and I made him a partner. And that didn't sit well with his boss, but there was no legal documents that forbid us to do that. And a lot of great chefs do that. That's what they work for.
Right, they want to have their own restaurant.
The American dream. Yeah. I felt great because all of a sudden his kids are going from, public schools to private schools, new car, new home.
Right.
I'm feeling good about it because I kept up to my part of it.
Right.
I felt really good about it. And it was a great, and we were brothers.
So you left Philippe Chow's and then you started.
Now, when you left, did you leave like, I want to leave, or was it?
I wanted to leave.
Okay.
This was not for me.
Did they not want you to leave?
Well, you know what? They didn't want me to leave in the beginning because they wouldn't have done the deal with my other partners. And what I wanted to go, but I stayed on. But then when you're not happy at work, then eventually they can see it.
Right.
And you know what? So it was kind of mutual at that point. I wanted out.
Okay.
I wanted out from 2 years before.
So were you plotting what's next?
Oh yeah. Of
so
course.
what was next?
So what was next is they tied me up with this huge non-compete. And it was cool. It was fun. I became Mr. Mom for a little while. Took care of my kids. I had a great time with that. Then I opened Julan with a bunch of partners.
How long was it non-compete for?
3 years.
Okay, so for 3 years, was it you couldn't open any restaurant or a restaurant
I could not. No,
that type of cuisine?
Yeah, they were concerned about Asian cuisine.
Okay.
Because I was, Philippe was connected to my hip.
Right.
So that's all they were concerned about. And
They knew you were going to open in 3 years.
100%. Right. And bottom line is, so meanwhile, I wanted to do something because I like to work. So a few guys introduced me to doing Julan, and we did it. But those 5 partners, I'm not really good with 5 partners.
What happened with Julan? What was out of it? Julan never really popped like it was supposed to.
The Limelight's a hard property.
The service wasn't great when I went there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was one of 5, where I'm not used to that. I like being one of 2. When there's 5 chefs in the kitchen, we all know the
a lot of different
saying.
decisions to be made.
I'm not good in that situation. I'm good with basically calling the shots, right or wrong. I own it when I'm wrong, but I like being the guy calling the shots.
Okay.
So then Julan, then you go to Jade.
Yeah, I was more like a consultant. With Julan, I was more like consultant. I try to put my influence on it, but I'm listening to 4 of the partners, bringing it into a different direction. That again, I was more like a consultant. My heart wasn't into it.
Okay.
So then you do Jade.
Yeah,
Jade
Jade is my baby again. I feel like I've been reborn.
Now, are you the only owner of Jade? Or
it's me and my partner used to own Rothman's Steakhouse, Franco Moscato.
Okay.
So me and him got together. He was a customer of Philippe. I was a customer of Rothman's. We actually met at a social gathering, and we're like, listen, my non-compete expired in June 2017, and I want to bring an Asian restaurant back, but I don't want to do exactly what I did in the past. Don't get me wrong; those 10 or 12 dishes are coming with me.
Right.
I'm not stupid.
That chicken satay with the peanut sauce is right here.
That was part of the issue with Julan, is that people would come there thinking that I'm there, and they would ask for things that they know me for, and it wasn't there. So that was an issue, and the location. It's my wheelhouse is above 55th to 116. That's my location.
Right.
So with Jade, I feel like I'm reborn again because
it's a
what?
Steakhouse too.
So what it is that my partner Franco had a steakhouse in the past. I had an Asian restaurant, and I said, why not? I said, you know what? I love steakhouses. I love cream of spinach, baked potato, and shrimp cocktail, but we don't need another one. So my thought was, let's think out of the box.
Right.
Let's marry the 2 concepts.
Infuse this.
Let's have the steak to be American, dry aged, a little salt. Nothing Asian about the dry aged steaks. Then everything around the steak, let's make it Asian. And people say, wow, this menu is great because it fuses Asian with an American steakhouse. I said, I didn't write it. The customers wrote it. And in 15 years of listening to customers, they wanted a steak without the sauces on it. I just wanted a dry aged steak, and then on top of it, they were saying, we want lighter, more healthier stuff because let's face it, our Chinese was a lot of sweet and fried. Even though we use soybean oil, so it's not your typical deep fry, it's still sweet and fried.
Right.
So we added sushi. I got Albert Diaz, who was the sushi chef at Zuma Miami. We got together and I said, listen, create a great sushi program, a menu with what we're doing. So I love it. I've married these like my 3 favorite concepts, which all tell the same story. And it's like all on one sitting. One guy said to me, you're saving me. Every Sunday I fight with my wife. My wife wants sushi, I want steak, and the kids want sautés. And now we get it at one table. I said, I'm saving one relationship at a time.
The restaurant business is a really tough business. What's the percentage of restaurants that end up closing?
7 out of 10 close in the first 30 months.
Wow. Now, what are some of your tips for people? Because I know a lot of people listening probably have their own ideas for restaurants. And I know that obviously it's a competitive business. But what are some tips that you could give to young entrepreneurs that might want to open up their own restaurant?
When I go to work, I call 12 hours half days. Mm-hmm. When I go to work, I don't call it work. I mean, you see me on the floor.
Yes, absolutely.
Envy, you guys are great, great supporters of everything I've done. It's not work to me. Mm-hmm. I love my customers, and I'll do anything. We don't have enough time, but I'll tell you the stories about what we do for our customers. Like you said, that makes me feel good because that's what we do.
I saw DJ Khaled was in there.
Yeah, I love him.
Celebrating.
Yeah, he's great.
And I saw Bruno Mars actually came there after the Grammys.
Yeah, what's fun about Bruno Mars is that, Kaiser and those guys at Atlantic have always been great supporters of what I've done in the past. And he called me like the night before, and he's like, "We're going to do a small dinner party, and for Bruno, it's going to be quiet. It's not going to be a big thing." I guess they didn't expect him to take over. I think 7, including they thought maybe he'd get best engineered album, but he got like 7, 8 Grammys with 7 Grammys. And it was a real fun. That really launched the restaurant.
Right.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we were there from midnight to like 4 a.m, and it was great. That was like the first week I opened. I'm trying to open under the radar, and I'm like, I guess it's not
Bruno
happening.
Mars is here.
No, it was amazing. I mean, the first time I went there, the service was amazing. I was there, I think, every week for like 5 weeks until I got on that detox. But I love the food. The food is fresh, and I can try so many different things. Whether it's the duck tacos, whether it's the bacon appetizer that I love,
Sauté.
It's just everything was great. The drinks are amazing. The bartenders were cool. It's just a cool spot. And I talk about it all the time on the end. Like I tell everybody, I don't get nothing off it. I just love good people that do good things, and that's why I supported it.
But I noticed that
I appreciate that. And I think you came in like the 3rd day we opened. And if we were good then, wait till you see what it looks like now.
Right.
We're on point.
Now let's talk about customer reviews because that's also important.
Yeah.
And I saw, because I had posted a review and then it got taken down for some reason.
You're getting all the great questions in here because that's really to my heart. I'll tell you exactly what I feel about customer reviews. Again, I left my old, my ex-partners, and, I read all those Yelp reviews, and all of a sudden we're 4.5. Like the first week we're open, there's like 5 or 6 reviews, gets to 20. We're almost hitting 5 out of 5, and I'm like really excited. And one day I wake up, and we're like 2. I'm like, what is going on here? What is this 2? And here I am now checking out who these people are, and they're all fake. And then I go a step further, and I'm looking at who they are, and then I'm matching them to Facebook profiles, and I see that they're friends of, competitors. Let's just call it competitors.
Right.
And that's, to me, that's bullshit. I don't know if I can curse, but that really bothers me because you know what? We put our life, our passion, our love into the art of cooking and guest experience. And because they can't, your competitors, let's call it, can't compete fairly, they start putting a group of like 5 or 6 people and putting up fake reviews. So I told Yelp, I said, why don't you ask for each one of these people to send a receipt that they were there? They told me it's too expensive to do that. I said, really? So you guys don't want to go the extra step? I had it out with Yelp. I said, you guys don't want to go the extra step to protect restaurateurs, and this kind of ties into your question, Angela, about young entrepreneurs and the pitfalls. You don't want to take the extra step, but we're putting our life into this. And if you took that extra step, you would see that 4 of these reviews, they never were at the restaurant.
Right.
They were never there.
So there's just nothing you can do about it.
So what happened is, at one time it was 7 1-star reviews. We got like 5 of them taken down.
Okay, that's
because that was fraud.
Right.
But there's 2 or 3 on there, and it still bothers me because I touch every table, as you see, right? I touch every table. And I love talking to people. And let's just say the customer didn't like something or it was a little off, fix it. Done. Right. No one walks out of there unless they're thrilled with the restaurant.
Well, that's what we love about it. And so that's why we wanted to make sure you came up here. The restaurant business is a tough business, like you said. But again, it has to feel like it's not a business. It's the love.
100%. And what was great about it is, so my non-compete expired. I wanted to get back into the Upper East Side Asian restaurant. That's where my wheelhouse was. And I was looking up to 88th Street, 95th Street, 150. I was looking all over somewhere east of Central Park. And then all of a sudden, this location became available. And it was 100 yards away from where I started.
But you know what? They have everything that I love, from all different restaurants. Because Chin Chin's used to be my favorite restaurant.
Yeah, he's a great operator.
And they had Grand Marnier shrimp.
Yep.
And nobody else had Grand Marnier shrimp. But y'all brought it back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's everything that I can get in all those different restaurants.
It's funny, like I said, people say, wow, the menu's great. So I didn't write it. Customers wrote it.
Right.
You got to listen to your customer.
Absolutely. Makes sense.
Well, we thank you for joining us.
Oh,
Thank you for the chicken satay, by the way, as well. I'm about to go out.
I got to bring my kids by. My kids been dying to go there, so I got to bring them by. Well,
but for anybody, make sure y'all check out J60 Steakhouse.
That's
well worth
right.
the trip.
All right. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.